Figure 4 Radio.
Lock it in.
Lock it in.
Lock it in. Lock it in.
Lock it in.
Figure 4 Radio.
Hello everyone, welcome to Figure 4 Radio. It's the Mastermind Ollie Spring. Today, Blast from the Past, joined by the killer Kai Brand.
Good, hello.
Hey Kai, how's it going?
Not too bad, how are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. It's been a long time since we've been just you and me.
Just-
no Spuds, no Luco Mac.
Just me and you, and what a way to kick things off. Can I just say that this year's Christmas special is going to be a Brands Warfare.
It is. I'm looking forward to that. In fact, I should probably start preparing. You sent the script, didn't you?
She sent the script, but we don't tell audience members that.
No, we're not script. The questions that we have to prepare for.
Yeah.
The question script. I shall be having a look at that at some point soon. But we thought we'd sit down today. We're here today in Exposure Wrestling in sunny Newport, South Wales. Possibly our favourite Welsh promotion.
Oh, good God, yeah. I mean, they have the big names. Cody Rhodes come over. You've got Doug Williams.
Got Rene Dupree and Eddie Dennis in the main event today.
Exactly, yeah.
And for those listening after we've recorded this, what a main event it was.
It was absolutely fantastic. Can't wait for you guys to watch it at home.
Yes, but yeah, we thought today we'd sit down and have a little chat. We'd have a bit of a reminisce, because you know when you catch up with old friends after a while, you have a nice little reminisce over the good times, as it were.
Mostly the bad times with you and me.
That's not very fair. Come on, we've had some good times, right?
Yeah, we've had some more awkward times, especially in the juries in Milton Keynes back in the day.
Are you talking about when I interviewed Harvey Dale?
Yeah, should we go with that one?
Let's start off with that time that Harvey Dale got. I mean, so he got really controversial out of nowhere. So let's have a little flashback and listen to some Harvey Dale.
Figure 4 Radio.
So, as I say, I guess in that time, since 2009 to today, I think, is it safe to say the UK scene's seen a bit of a revival? It's kind of, well, it's like we said, it blossomed.
Yeah, I mean, it's thriving. You've got companies like Progress, PCW, ICW.
Absolutely killing it.
I mean, they're Rev Pro.
Yeah,
they are phenomenal companies, fantastically booked, drawing. I mean, what silly number did Progress draw?
They sold out the Brixton Academy, right?
Academy. ICW have got the Barrowlands again.
Sold out is it the O2 up there as well?
Yeah, the Hydro. That was 4,000.
Wow,
obviously, this year they're going for 8,000.
It's crazy numbers, really, when you to say that for UK wrestling.
I mean, it's amazing. So, I mean, you can't possibly. I mean, there are. The problem with UK wrestling for me still is that there are shit-ass companies that pop up on the street corner every fucking week. And it is so difficult in a town, especially if some shit-ass company pops up. The generic wrestling fan that walks down the street sees a poster that says wrestling, they assume it's the same thing.
Yeah.
They assume every single wrestling thing is the same thing. Like, if I was to walk past a boxing poster, I wouldn't have a fucking clue if it was the same boxing poster as I, because I've got no interest in it.
Yeah.
Generic wrestling fan on the street sees wrestling, they assume it's the same. You go to a terrible fucking show and have a terrible experience, and that's your first experience of UK wrestling, you ain't ever going to set foot in another wrestling show again. So that is the only problem still, is that we've no regulatory body, we've no way of governing who can and who can't run a show, because it's entertainment, not a sport.
Do you think there should be someone that says you can run a show or you can't run a show?
I think there probably should. I'm not entirely sure it should be Alex Shane, because I think he's too he's too heavily involved in I mean, don't get me wrong, again, I've never had a bad experience with Alex on a personal level. Anytime we've spoken or crossed paths, we've got on absolutely fine. But Alex is a businessman who is very much centered around what is good for Alex, and what is good for Alex for a while is not always what is good for the companies that he's working with. I'm going to get Matt Harded on this. No, fucking Alex is going to be taking me to court over this.
I've never brought up any names.
Alex is going to be taking me to court over this. No, so I like Alex. Again, I've got full respect for what Alex has done for the British scene, but occasionally it looks like Alex uses something that he's got some momentum or becoming popular, suddenly hooks his name to it, suddenly they pump a load of money in, something becomes very big, and then the second it's not benefiting Alex anymore, maybe it doesn't quite thrive after that time as much as it could do. I certainly wouldn't use the term sucked British wrestling dry, like obviously Matt Hardy's used with regards to Eric Bischoff and Hogan with TNA. I certainly wouldn't say that, but I would say that we do need a regulatory body, but I just don't see it being possible. Maybe Ricky Knight, maybe someone from over there as an ambassador whereby if you want to be taken seriously, you have to go to them and get their approval of it. But again, there are a lot of people that maybe don't think that what Ricky Knight does is right.
So I guess in a way, could you say like
I don't stand by that, by the way. I think the Knights are great.
Yeah, I've never met them. I've never met Alex Shane either, so I can't comment on either. In a way, then, would you say that Hope, kind of MK, the southern part of Hope, is almost you kind of giving your stamp of approval to what's being done down here, and kind of saying that this company this kind of area needs respect, I guess, from wrestling fans.
Kind of. I mean, to touch on obviously what went on in Milton Keynes before with TAW. Obviously, I know you were involved with TAW. You were around and stuff. For me,
we saw it all crumble down around us.
TAW was always referred to, and on the grander scheme of things, referred to as one of those shit-ass companies. Steve hadn't got a fucking clue when it came to wrestling. He was training people to wrestle when he was a fucking terrible wrestler himself. Absolutely piss poor, abysmal. And that is me completely being honest with regards to having watched Steve wrestle time after time. I used to do a little thing where I used to go round to a lot of training schools as well. Pretend I'd never bumped, pretend I knew nothing about what I was doing just to see how good their training was. I remember turning up at the Bletchley Leisure Centre where Steve was running his training one day, him asking me, the first thing he said to me was, "Have you ever bumped before?" And I said, "No, haven't got a clue." The first thing he had me doing was doing suplexes to people in a warm-up.
Wow.
Never having bumped before. And I straight away turned around and went, this guy hasn't got a fucking clue.
I never actually... obviously, I attended the shows. I've commentated on the shows. We've done interviews with the old wrestlers from that company. Never went to a training school. But as I say, I have been to the Hope Academy training school. And from what I gather from the old TAW training, the Hope is like... The Hope Academy in Milton Keynes it's like the NXT Performance Center. You know, it's like you got rings set up. You got the mats. You got everything you need. It's not because... So I can kind of agree with that, I guess, in that
I was very sceptical to begin with. It was actually Paddy G Money who kind of put me in touch with Paul in the first place and said, this guy's interested in perhaps us making a school down here. Come down and see what you think. I came down. I knew Mark Massa very well as well already from the UK. So I'd never met Paul before. I came down. I met with Paul. He had some very good ideas. And everything. I said I sort of ran it by, and I trust Paddy implicitly. I trust Massa implicitly. I spoke to both of them and said, what do you think? Do we put our name to this? Do we build this? Do we do it? And it all worked out from there very, very well. And I said, just look at how far we're a month away from being a year in now down here, and just look at what we've achieved today, and look at how far they've come. And some of the students, I mean, phenomenal performances today.
Who stood? Did anyone stand out for you?
I mean, today some of the guys on that card today, L Jeff, who obviously is Wesley, and I'm not trying to do this in character or anything like that, so we'll refer to them by their real names. Ashley Dunn, obviously, I mean, he calls himself the superstar, but I mean, he is every bit the package that you can push on and make something bigger.
I think he's potentially my pick for the brightest future stuff.
I think Tyvee Lee, who's Ben. I mean, I've watched that kid now unfold. I was here when he had his debut. I've watched that kid unfold and to see the performance and stuff that he's made today. But Jay Garner, Kai Payne, all of these lads who they've sort of honed their skills further and pressed. Fantastic to watch and see how well they've progressed.
Awesome.
Figure 4 Radio.
So you see, he kind of dived right in there, both 2 feet straight in there.
I remember having a conversation with you backstage in production, and I was kind of like, I don't think, guys, we should really be releasing this, but you're like,
we went
it's all right.
It had a lot of listens, to be fair.
We're still going.
I'm pretty sure that one's available on iTunes.
On iTunes or on Stitcher YouTube.
No, sorry, YouTube. YouTube is where it's at. I think that's gone off of.
Just go onto our website, figure4radio.weebly.com.
But you want to talk about favourites, you want to talk about big names. I think my absolute favourite one of all time ever has probably got to be SoCal Vale.
SoCal Vale at the MK11.
At MK11. So I sat down with her before the Royal Rumble. Was that this year? Was that this year's Rumble? I chatted to Val.
2017.
It was this year. Yeah. Jesus, this has been a good year. We have to definitely have a whole year catch up as well. I was really surprised because obviously Val's a lady that I've
loved.
Watched was the word I was going for.
Many times.
Watched
in the shower.
On the television.
Sure.
And to say she's moved to Milton Keynes is absolutely crazy, really, if I'm being honest.
She's basically your neighbour.
Yeah. And you moved away from SoCal Vale. You moved away and we got SoCal Vale. That's not a bad trade. But yeah, I was really kind of not surprised, but just like it was I was kind of nervous going in, and I was really kind of pleased to see that she was really cool and down to earth. And we had a really good chat. Should we go and have a little listen? Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
I didn't know you. I genuinely just thought that would.
No, that was me poking you in the right direction.
Fair enough.
Let's go listen to SoCal Vale. She's a lovely lady.
Figure 4 Radio.
Hello, welcome to Figure 4 Radio. It's the Mastermind, Ollie Spring, and I'm honoured to be joined by the one and only SoCal Vale.
Hello, thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. How are you?
I am great. You
Cool.
know, we're here at MK11,
We are.
and people are already filing in for our Royal Rumble party. We've got. How should we announce this guy? He's like a
With the best fancy dress I've ever seen.
Finn Balor
Like,
version 2.
Well, I thought that was Finn, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought his shoulder looks a bit more normal, though.
yeah,
So,
his mobility's back. Apparently.
Yes, which is good.
Yeah.
So you are here in MK11 tonight. We are recording at the Royal Rumble. Of course, at the time of release, Rumble will have happened. So, man, what an event it was. Such a good Rumble.
Oh,
I
wow.
can't
My
believe
favorite part was when the guy went over the top rope.
Yeah,
Remember?
and that
it was
guy
like,
won.
what?
I couldn't believe that guy won. It was immense.
That guy was the best.
So yeah, it's an absolute honour to have you on. I've got so many things I'd love to talk to you about, so hopefully we've got enough time.
Thank you, of course.
Firstly, the first thing I really want to hear about, because I'm obviously a UK wrestling fan. You obviously discovered wrestling in the States.
Yes.
What was that like? Because we didn't have the same kind of exposure to it. It was like late night on Sky,
right?
And if you didn't have Sky, you didn't watch wrestling, basically.
Right.
Whereas, what was it like for you growing up with and discovering wrestling?
It's funny because I don't really have anyone in my immediate family that would make sense for me to watch any sort of a sport. I have two older sisters and my mom, and one of my sisters, the middle sister, I'm the youngest, her friend, and they were watching it, and I remember thinking like, oh, that's so stupid. What are you guys watching? And I'm so girly that I was like, that's like a boys show. And I was about 10 or I think 11 or so at the time. And then I just fell in love with the storylines. They watched strictly WWF. Now WWE, of course. I went back and watched WCW and ECW and things like that, but I was a strict WWF girl. And one maybe not so nice story I should tell is when I told Eric Bischoff, I said, I really didn't watch WCW. I turned it on once, I saw Chronic, and I was like, this is crap. And I turned it back and I never watched it again, and he thought that was the funniest thing, which thank God he took it in good stride.
Yes,
because
of course.
Yeah, so I was a WWF girl, and I started watching around maybe 2000 or so.
So you said the storylines we got you. Was there a specific one that kind of reeled you in?
I think it was more 98 now that I'm thinking of it, by the way. One in particular that I remember loving, I don't know if it's really what kept me watching. What kept me watching where I liked the girls and I liked Stephanie.
Of course.
I thought, well, she's, as I'm in a suit, very Stephanie-esque tonight. No, I'm not in costume. I'm just myself as a huge fangirl of Stephanie McMahon. That's me every day. So I saw her and I remember thinking, wow, she's a real bitchy character, if I can use that word. And I thought, is she going to get her comeuppance? Like, she's always, such a brat. And then her storyline with Triple H and Kurt Angle, that love triangle was, I've told Kurt so many times, my absolute favorite. I loved it. I loved the, were they in that hotel room and Triple H is going to find out and he's mad now and he wants revenge, and it gave such credibility to these storylines. So that's what got me. I loved the love storylines. Yeah. And then I got to be in one, which we'll get to later. But how lucky is that?
That was us. So that was how you got into it. How did you get your break in TNA?
I had been doing shows. Let's see. So I did my first show 3 days after my 16th birthday,
and
it was in California.
As you weren't a wrestler.
No, you were manager. I was always a manager. Yeah. Any wrestling I ever did was just because maybe it made sense for a storyline at the time, or I really never enjoyed
that saves me a question
wrestling.
later on.
Yeah, I really, it was not my thing. I never wanted to be them either.
Yeah,
I never looked at the girls and thought, well, I want to be a Lita. I was never a Lita. I'm never going to be a Lita. Don't want to be a Lita. I wanted to be Stephanie. I wanted to be the girls. I wanted to be Dawn Marie, and Francine and people like that. Dawn Marie's a great one because I think people often I find her very underrated because she had such in-ring presence and such charisma, and I love her. I didn't really want to be in wrestling, or I didn't want to be a wrestler in wrestling, but I knew I wanted to be in wrestling somehow, mainly as a manager.
It's kind of the same as me, I guess.
Yeah, so my first show was 3 days after my 16th birthday, and then I kept doing more and more independent shows. That was in Southern California, hence the name SoCal Vale.
Of course.
I moved to Orlando, Florida, maybe not even a year later. I was a few months after my first show, actually, about maybe less than a year. And I started to do as many independent shows as I could. I did shows mainly for IPW and NWA Florida in Tampa. So I was driving, I wasn't driving. My mom would have to drive me, or one of the guys or something would take me up to these shows every weekend for like 3 years. And I just did as many shows as I could, got as much experience as I could. And then when TNA came into town, I went to all the shows with my little I remember my bag going through security at Universal. Wow. And I always had this big bag, and I had tapes and resumes with me just in case I could give it to someone. And I didn't ever really, I think I gave it to a few people, but David Sahadi was a producer there, and he said, maybe we can have you on board as a production assistant. That'll get your face seen backstage where you need to be seen. He knew I wasn't going to always be in production, but he knew that I was in it for the right reasons. He helped me with that. Then Jeremy Borash asked me to be a ring girl, and then from ring girl I got into a storyline, and then from then on, another person I should mention is Mike Weber, who was our VP of marketing, is now with Fight TV, and he also gave me more experiences with announcing and hosting, presenting, as you would call it.
Of course,
it kind of snowballed from there.
Just like that. So what was it like? I'm trying to think. So when did you start with TNA? What was
late 2004 officially?
2004.
That's like the first time I was on air.
So actually, I think you started just as I started watching it, if I remember right, if my timeline's right.
How good was it back then?
It was.
Oh my
immense.
gosh.
So. Okay, well, I'm going to skip a few of my questions. So, do you feel it's kind of gone downhill lately?
I can't say I have an educated opinion too much because I haven't watched it in quite a while. I did watch,
Same,
I believe it was it Bound for Glory? I watched one that was on Fight TV recently.
Okay.
And it still has the same sort of feel, but a lot of it's different because a lot of the guys are not there anymore. What really shocks me the most are the TNA originals and the guys that I envision as these TNA guys. A lot of them aren't there anymore. AJ is number one. Bobby Roode,
Joe,
all
Bobby,
these guys.
Yeah.
So
have you seen Takeover yet from last night?
I have.
Yes.
I saw it today.
Oh, same.
Yeah.
We'll get to that in a little bit as well. So,
but it's great, but I can't say I've watched too much of it lately. Also, we don't even get it here anymore in the UK.
That's the problem, and I think for me, I've literally, I haven't missed an episode of Impact since I started watching it, basically, since I discovered it. And now I can't really watch it without getting the app.
How sad is that?
I feel kind of bad that I don't want to pay to watch it.
I think people have a problem with that, and I think it's justified in the sense that you're not getting as much content as WWE Library.
Precisely, that's the thing. So I'm happy to pay for the network because there's just so much on there.
Right.
But TNA...
I don't understand that either. If I was working there, I would say the same thing. It doesn't make much sense.
Okay, so we mentioned actually earlier the kind of the love triangle storyline.
Yes.
Legit, hand on heart, one of my favourite storylines in TNA ever.
No,
because it just stands out. Like you say, it's the storylines and the emotions that capture you. And I think it was such a strong storyline. With, of course, you involved with Jay and Sonjay.
That's so nice to hear that. Thank you.
Because it was... I mean, I've been there. I've had a girl that was stolen by someone else. And in fact...
You can relate, right?
Well, and... I don't want to go into my story too much, but one of the reasons
that'll be the next episode. We'll do like a relationship session. We can do
relationship counselling with SoCal Vale. But the reason why I started watching wrestling, I was in a relationship. It went downhill. I was kind of asleep on the sofa for the best part of 2 or 3 months, and I was just flicking through TV channels, and it was Velvet Sky's backside that caught my eye, and I stopped flicking, and I started watching TNA. And if I hadn't have been sleeping on the sofa and watching stuff I wouldn't normally be allowed to watch,
right?
If that makes sense, I would never have got in. So I was in that mindset of I've just lost a girl to another guy, and I think it just caught me. I was like, wow, I'm cheering for I'm tripping over my words now, but I'm cheering for the good guy to win because I know what it's like to have your girl stolen.
Yeah, and he was so great at that character, and he was so emotionally raw, and just because he is such a good guy. And I was honored to do it because being a fan of Miss Elizabeth, and I worked for Macho Man for a little bit back in the day. He had a federation up in Tampa that we worked for.
Okay.
Not a lot of people ever know about that.
Yeah, I didn't know
there
that.
weren't that many of us there. Steve Kern's school. We did MachoMan.com taping, so I was a fan, and I, of course, I loved Miss Elizabeth. I loved that I got to play one of the characters that's the most beloved by fans. She was the original damsel in distress, and that was again not wanting to be a wrestler. I wanted to be that girl that was kind of fought over or damsel in distress, and she was uber feminine. I loved that.
And I guess you got your dream.
I did, and again, loving love triangles. How cool that I got to be in a romantic storyline. I could have been in any storyline, but how cool I got to be Miss Elizabeth-esque kind of a character in a love triangle
next to Jay Lethal, who's kind of pretending to be Macho Man.
Right.
And
once they realized I could cry, that's just all I did every show. P.S.
Figure 4 Radio.
So that was a good little chat with Val. But we don't just have to talk about the ones that because I've interviewed a lot of good people.
What I want to know is who was your favourite? Obviously, we've heard from Harvey Dale, we've heard from SoCal Vale, but who was your actual favourite?
A lot of my favourites have happened recently. Brett Meadows was a really good one. Tim Lee, really, really good little chat. But I mean, looking back, there was some fun ones. We had some good chats with the likes of Gene Money at MK11. That was absolutely batshit crazy. Do we want to go and listen to any of that now?
Why not?
Yeah, let's go listen to some Gene Money when he was drunk on banana daiquiris, as he likes to say.
Figure 4 Radio.
Hello, welcome to Figure 4 Radio live from MK11 at SummerSlam night, and we're talking with Gene Money.
Yo, Genie baby, the sexual gamut.
Where did that come from?
Basically, it was one night, I was in Vegas, everything got mucky, everywhere, and all of a sudden, My Uncle Bobby says to me, you are essentially the Mark Henry of British wrestling. But
Okay.
But of course,
How much are you benching?
I bench 9,000.
Nice. It's a good number.
Yeah. Don't matter about if that's imperial or metric. Just 9,000 across the board.
Everything.
9,000 across the board.
Am I right in saying you're not originally from Milton Keynes or the surrounding counties?
No, so I'm originally from a little place between up north and down south called Worksop. And
So how does a lad from Worksop end up living near Milton Keynes and performing wrestling and all that sort of stuff? I'm curious, what drags you down south?
so up north, it's grey and it's grim.
Whereas Milton Keynes is.
Milton Keynes is grey and grim and full of roundabouts. However, basically, I stumbled into a bit of money. I stumbled into, essentially, I don't mean to brag, but I essentially stumbled into 4 actual barrels of actual gold.
There's a lot of that up north, I hear.
Yeah,
Just lying around.
1 barrel can buy you at least, 3 really good-sized sheds.
Of course, yeah.
So, basically, I used that money. I got myself some education. And then I had people asking me, Gene, run for Prime Minister. And I said, you know what? I can't. Because I don't have time to waste on other people.
No.
So I said, I'll do one better. Give me the worst town in the world, and I'll make it better. So I moved to Milton Keynes.
As someone that's born here, all I can say is thank you, I guess.
You are very welcome.
How did you get into wrestling? Let's go from the very start. How did you discover wrestling? How old were you? Where were you? Who did you see? What did you love about it, etc.?
So wrestling for me was, I got into wrestling when all the other lads got out of wrestling.
Got ya.
So I was about 12, 13, and I was discovering myself as a man. And I saw Trish Stratus. And I thought...
End of story.
And ever since then, wrestling fan.
Fair enough. It's safe to say you're quite a character in the ring.
I have no idea what you are referring to. Please elaborate.
Slightly larger than life.
I take my weight quite seriously.
Often larger than life in the ring. Let's put it that way. Well, I'm trying to think without trying to bury everybody else. You tend to be the one that gets remembered from all my friends that come and see a show. Do you find that a challenge? Does that come naturally to you, or is?
There has never been a person I have never met who has never wanted to swap lives with me. And I like to bring that to the ring. I like to step in that ring and people just go, man, my life is terrible compared to Gene Money's.
That's also what every one of my friends said.
That's the vibe I go for. Yeah. I hope that all of them have reevaluated their lives.
So recently we spoke to HustleMalone about promos and videos and how different they are, because in a lot of the shows that we've watched and commentated on, sat in the audience for, not a lot of people are doing the stuff that Hustle's doing as far as promo videos go. And as I say, you're a lot louder, you've got a lot more charisma and personality to you than a lot of the local upcoming people. How important do you think that is as far as on a local level, not necessarily being televised, but to walk out of there into a crowd full of people and instantly just be louder than everybody and be the man that everyone has to look at? How hard, is it hard for you, and is it important for you? Was that your number one thing to do?
For me, I was born with a gift, and that gift was a very rich family. And that family said to me, Gene, you little child, go and study the arts. Go and learn how to be an actor. And unfortunately, I spent that money on booze instead. And I got into a lot of fights in pubs, and I learned how to hold myself in vocularity.
In what?
In vocularity, young Oliver. So what happened is I talk to people and they go, I don't want to fight you, Gene, not because of your definitely. This is not visual. This is just audio, right?
Of course.
So he said, with your totally ripped physique.
That was why I asked how much you bench, because you clearly work out. 9,000.
So, and then they see my physique and they think, I can take this very handsome man, and then I talk to him and I take him down. And so I took that skill and I took that to the ring. And no, don't get me wrong. There are some fantastic local guys around here, but there's a guy called Ashley Dunn. I respect him in the ring lots, but and a guy goes out there and he kills himself. He kills himself.
He does?
For the crowd. And you know what? I want people to look at me and go, I remember Gene Money.
Yeah.
And I want to do that without a broken spine. So you know what? People can take their flips. They can take the kicks. They can take their strongest style. And they can do one. They just need to get a mouth.
Why do you think people focus so much on the moves and the flips? Because it's like that meme
because
where
they're not talented enough to be Gene Money.
There you go. But
no.
Is there a stigma around having to get your shit in and learn the coolest spots and
now
when wrestling's actually about entertainment, for want of a better word?
I've never told you this, Ollie, but I'm not saying I invented the shooting star, but I definitely perfected it.
You are.
But the thing is, I'm not a selfish man. I know someone down the road is going to want to do a swanton, and I'll be on before him, and I think, no, I'm not. I am going to be the better man. I won't do a shooting star for your sake. And you know what? I am a very courteous wrestler. I don't get my shit in. Last time I was in there, I did a 900-degree flip in training. I got to the top rope, did it from the second rope. And you know what?
How many rotations is that?
Enough. And you know what? I get a bigger pop from insulting a child and then hitting on his mother and serving a breakfast in the morning than I will ever get from the 900-degree flip.
Figure 4 Radio.
Gene Money.
Absolutely bonkers, right?
Absolutely mad.
Actually, I mean, I could be a little bit biased, but to be honest, my chat with HustleMalone about Sacrifice Pro Wrestling,
that was my favourite.
We've had HustleMalone on a few times, but the second time, just talking about Sacrifice, when Sacrifice was kind of off the ground, as it were, that was possibly one of my favourites because you can kind of hear just how much and just how important Sacrifice Pro is, and Sacrifice Pro has become a very big part of my life, and it would have been a part of yours if you hadn't moved away.
It would have been, yeah. Yeah, it really would be.
I mean, in theory, you and I called the first show that was it wasn't Sacrifice Pro, but it was that charity show at Leighton Buzzard. Dan the Man Tucker took a guitar shot to the head. That was our first trip back into commentary since the incident, right?
Since the incident, yeah, because I've already moved at that point, but I moved back especially for 2 shows. One for Hope Wrestling, and then it was Sacrifice, wasn't it?
That's it. It wasn't Sacrifice, but that was the show that kind of made Lee think, you know what, I really want to do this properly. And to see what Sacrifice has grown into since has been absolutely insane, really. But you know what? My favourite part of that podcast.
Go for it.
When Lee did the Figure 4 Radio intro. Should we have a little listen?
Oh, good God! Yes.
Figure 4 Radio.
Lock it in. Lock it in. Lock it in. Lock it in.
Figure 4 Radio.
Hello everyone, welcome to Figure 4 Radio. It's the Mastermind Ollie Spring. Today we're not in Mastermind Towers. We're on location in Leighton Buzzard in the beautiful Lancer Pub. I'm joined by HustleMalone. Lock it in. Is that right? Yeah.
Nailed it.
Nice.
Nailed it.
I'm totally going to sample that and then put it over. It's going to be the new intro.
Perfect.
So Hustle, how's it going, man?
Yeah, doing good, man. You?
All good, yeah. So we're here today to talk about Sacrifice Pro.
Yeah.
And everything that has gone into it, everything that's come out of it, and everything that's happened because of it.
Cool.
So I think let's go right back to the start. Hope Wrestling was still all Hope Wrestling.
Yep.
Talk us through the timeline of, because I know there's Apex is like a breakaway of Hope, and they're now kind of not in line with Hope in as many ways. You are definitely under Hope. It's a bit weird, isn't it?
Okay. So Apex and Hope are pretty much completely broken away. They don't consult each other on
things and
I
stuff
kind of
like
think
that.
I kind of see it almost like a divorce.
Yeah,
And like
pretty much.
one's gone one way, one's gone the other.
That's it. Let's call a spade a spade. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like somebody can be a face in one place and a heel in the other. Like spade a spade.
There you go.
In terms of sacrifice, yeah, we're under the Hope umbrella. We're part of the Hope family. We believe in the same sort of, building the same sort of product.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Hope fans are excellent. They're so passionate.
100%.
They're so into it, which is fantastic. Exactly what you want. So we're under that, but at the same time, we are our own brand. We are our own product. We want to carve out our own image. That's why we're not, like Hope, Adrenaline or whatever cool 90s name I can just stick on the end there.
Throw a Z at the end just because.
Yeah, throw a Z on the end. Rage. There was we were asking somebody, a couple of the trainee lads recently, for suggestions for what to call the next show.
That was the longest thread I've ever seen on Facebook.
I loved it.
I loved
it
you in there as well.
There were some fantastic ones in there.
What were your favourites?
So my brother he has the best mind in wrestling because he.
The amount of stories I've heard about your brother coming up with ideas and saying
gives
things.
no shits about wrestling. He doesn't.
We should probably get him on, actually.
Oh, man. just as a little taster for the audience.
Yeah.
He once suggested a ladder match that Shogun Jay wins, and then when he gets to the top, instead of a belt, there's a bit of paper that just says freedom, ? And as he's, looking at it, all the other wrestlers are at the bottom just going, go. Go. And he just takes it and runs off.
Wow.
So, yeah, my brother's got some creative ideas when it comes to that.
Yeah.
My brother came up with, one of the shows was called Wrestle Boys 3. It's only wrestling. Calm down, mate.
That sounds something like
just Wrestle Boys.
That sounds like something that you get in Japan, I think.
Yeah, I was like, the show's called Sacrifice Pro, right? And he's like, yeah, Wrestle Boys 2 Reloaded.
But we've got more. There's prequel. There's sequels.
Man. But that was the thing. A lot of the names that were suggested were like Fight Back, Adrena Death, and lads, we're not WWF in the 90s.
Era,
it's not. We can call it other stuff.
I'm trying to think what I can. I think I came with something wrestling, something Simpsons quote, something. Yeah.
See, I would do more Simpsons quote, but ICW did a whole tour of them. It's just that when we came to naming number 2, that was it just kept coming up. It just was always
number
there.
2 is I said Boo Earns.
Yeah. I was saying Boo Earns. Yeah. One of my favourite titled shows. ICW did a show on one of their tours, and it was called That's a Paddling. And imagine telling somebody you made your debut on That's a Paddling. Imagine cutting a promo next month at That's a Paddling.
At the Paddling, yeah.
You're going to get a paddling. Yeah.
Well, it writes itself, doesn't it? It writes itself, yeah. Okay, so where did the name Sacrifice come from, firstly?
So for anybody who is uninitiated on Sacrifice Pro,
we should have probably started with that,
maybe. We're a pro wrestling organisation. We're different to everybody else in the sense that every single one of our shows is for charity, okay? So every show is for a different charity, so we can raise money for a bunch of different causes. At the end of the day, money just isn't our motivation. It's just not why we're here. So if we can help different people, and I ran a couple of charity shows under the Hope brand anyway, me going, hey, this is a cause I'm passionate about, and we go and do one.
So there was the dogs. Dogs for Good.
Second one was Dogs for Good. First one was for Autism Bedfordshire.
That's the one. Yep.
Raised a lot of money for them, and we were very happy. And then we thought, you know what? Why don't we make something of this?
Keep it going.
Make something do? And maybe it's just because me and the guys who run Sacrifice, which are Ashley Dunn and Chase Williams, maybe we're all just like 3 little CM Punks, and we're too headstrong, and we just want to do stories and create a show our way, but. We called it Sacrifice Pro. I mean, one idea was floated around was charity pro wrestling, but at the end of the day,
that sounds a bit corny if you ask me. It's just a bit.
The aim with our first show and with all of our shows is we don't want you to watch it and be like, this is a charity show. That there's storylines there, right? Sometimes there's edgy storylines. Sometimes there's really aggressive, close to the bone stuff. We don't want you to watch it every match is going to be a handshake afterwards and hugs and I love yous and
charity.
That, and the babyface always wins every fucking match and I'm not down with that. Sorry. So Sacrifice Pro. All the guys on the roster are sacrificing their time, sacrificing their bump card. There's another part of it.
Yeah.
And venues have been helping us out with discounts. Ring hire and we do the posters and all that kind of stuff in house and that as well. But it's just been nice. I don't know how else to put it, but it's been nice to see everyone come together for the sake of building something, for good matches, for just people being happy without the politics and the bullshit of
That's
wrestling.
the thing, yeah, because I think your first kind of promo video you shot, or you released at least, was kind of saying, hey, we're sacrificed, we're not here to deal with the bullshit, we're not here to deal with the politics.
Yep.
We just want to put on a show, have a good time, and just do something for a good cause.
Figure 4 Radio.
So to be honest, another one, I mean, Lee was a really good chat. One of my personal favourites, actually, now that I'm looking down the list and being reminded of all the great podcasts we've done, sitting down with Kai Payne was a very special one for me, because you and I were there when Kai Payne first debuted.
Yes, and I've said this many times on commentary throughout different promotions that I've commentated on Kai, that I was the first one to take his enziguri kick round the back of the ear, and it bloody hurt. And I went down like a sack of shit.
It does. Or spuds.
No, it was shit.
Other sacks of things are available. So Kai is a guy that literally we've seen grow up in this industry.
Yeah.
Like, you were there probably for his first training session.
Yep.
I was there for his first match, and I've called matches pretty much every step of his career. Match of the year that we called 2014, him and Ollie Peace.
Oh Jesus, yeah.
That's available on YouTube for sure. He's a kid, and I guess. When you've been doing this as long as we have, you can kind of spot talent, right? You can kind of tell who's got it. And I think he's always been a kid who you just look at and you think, that kid knows what he's doing. He's got the potential, and he's still kind of getting better every match we see. But yeah, that was a really good, nice little chat with him. I'd quite like to delve back into it. You happy with that?
Let's go for it.
Let's have a little listen.
Figure 4 Radio.
Hello everyone, welcome to Figure 4 Radio. It's the Mastermind Ollie Spring. Today I'm joined by Chaos Kai Payne.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm not too bad, man. You right?
I'm good. I'm doing good.
So Chaos Kai Payne. CKP. I kind of like the CKP thing. That's got a nice little ring to it. Where's the Chaos come from now?
The Chaos is a new idea. So we're actually in the Cedars Up School right now.
Yep.
And when I first joined the school, there was a teacher that knew my family, and he sort of knew our family reputation. We're quite a boisterous family. He said, Chaos, does that make sense? You know what? I'm going to call you Chaos. So as like a 14-year-old kid, I was being called Chaos by my PE class, but never anywhere else. Okay. So like, funnily enough, somewhere where I felt like I fit in, I was called Chaos. So now I feel like I finally have found my role in wrestling, found my place. This is where I belong, and I strongly believe that I should stay here for as long as I can. So
here being
sacrifice,
in sacrifice, or just as you are as Chaos Kai Payne?
As I am as Chaos, yeah, that as well. I think it's kind of as a mindset and how I treat the wrestling now. It's where I feel like I should be. So Chaos is kind of followed off as a play off my first name. Sounds quite like my real name. And it's chaos. This business is unorganized. It's mental. It's all these things. So chaos is me in wrestling.
That's true. That's true. Cool, man. So let's take it right the way back. How did you discover wrestling? So, one day you didn't have a clue what wrestling was. Then what? How did you kind of find out about this crazy world?
There's that cliche thing of people say, when I was 10 years old, I saw Hulk Hogan body slam the Giant and stuff. But like,
there's no way you would say years
old. Well, no, I was minus 13 or something. No, I can't remember a time before my life where I didn't obsess over wrestling. I mean, growing up, my earliest memories were watching SmackDown, Raw, Velocity, Heat, all the experience on a Sunday on Sky One, anything I could get a hold of, and playing with wrestling figures. I had so many of these wrestling figures. Nice. And my mum.
Is that thanks to your parents? Is it?
Heavily mum and dad, because they. So I've got I've got tic disorder, which is like a form of Tourette's. So it's essentially like when I was younger, I had like a really hard time growing and being myself, and so. Essentially, wrestling was such an escape. It was kind of almost like an obsession at the same time. So so with the wrestling figures and the TV, I was all over it, and I honestly can't remember a time before any of that where I wasn't focusing on wrestling. So
that's awesome, man.
There's nothing I can remember beforehand. That's
pretty cool.
But yes, since the early days of Chaos Kai Payne, it's always been professional wrestling.
Who was it that stood out for you as a young kid?
In terms of stars, there's kind of two big names as a kid. So the Undertaker was mesmerising to me. He was like the dog. It wouldn't matter who was on the show. It wouldn't matter what was going on. It was the Undertaker was the king. But as a small kid, I remember feeling so much fear for the Big Show.
Okay.
So the Big Show would come out, and it was the kind of the sort of time where he was wrestling JBL and the barbed wire steel cage.
Yeah, man, No Way Out 2005.
No Way Out, that's the one. Yeah.
I love that cage match.
Oh, it's quality.
I was talking about someone a couple of weeks ago.
A lot of people nowadays say it wasn't as good as a cage match, but to me, that was like, how are they going to get out? Do you know what I mean?
The ending was just absolutely brilliant. It hasn't been done before. It hasn't been done since.
And as a kid, that crushed me because I was like, Big Show has finally done it. JBL got out underneath the ring. It brought me so far down again.
It was like on the last step, and then the bell went. And
Big Show's milking it, and I was like, just go, just take one more step, and you're the one. And JBL crawls out, and that was like, wow, professional wrestling has just taken me on a roller coaster.
That was genuinely one of my favourite finishes to any match ever, because it was just
different, isn't it? You don't see that kind of finish every now and again. It's Monday Night Raw, and as it is at the minute, it's all recycled, and every finish is something that's been done 2 months down the line. But like, for me to watch that, especially being so, I kind of thought, wow, if the Big Show was here, I'd be so scared of that guy. But because he was babyface, I was completely invested and hated JBL. Love him now, but hated him at the time. And that was them sort of characters was really what got me into wrestling, especially that match with Big Show and JBL. It really hooked me.
That was a good match. It's a solid match.
Later on, CM Punk, when he was sort of doing his early straight edge stuff on SmackDown, that kind of got me across as like, wow, this guy can really talk. Like, really, he's got me hooked on every line. He's got the fans hooked on every line. So for me, those three guys really stood out.
Cool.
But growing up, CM Punk.
So you obviously you've never known anything other than wrestling. At what point did you start thinking like you could maybe do this, or you wanted to get involved?
Yeah, there's a story to that.
Let's hear it, man. Let's hear it.
So I was this is kind of embarrassing. So as like a 15-year-old kid, I'd kind of been telling people that, because I'd seen training, and I was like, I think it was IPW or something like that.
Okay,
45, 50 minutes away, and I was like, right, so what I could do is I could save up some money, I could buy a moped, right, because I was 16, buy a moped at 16 years old, ride up to wherever this training was and do that.
Is it Kent IPW?
It's a long way. It's longer than I should be going on a moped. So at the time I was like, yeah, this is great. I can do it. And I was kind of telling people, so yeah, I'm going to get into professional wrestling soon. I'm training to be a professional wrestler. And all I wasn't. I was just, at home with a trampoline.
Yeah.
And I don't knock trampoline wrestling, because that gave me the fundamentals that built my career.
Okay.
That was the Rikishi spin, the frog splash and all that. That all came from trampoline. I would never be able to do that if it wasn't for TTW, which was our Total Trampoline Wrestling Club.
Okay.
So no, but I think what kicked off for me was my dad looked at me and said, "You're really not going to give this shit up, are you? You're keen for this to be your role for the next however many years." And then we had a bit of family problems at home. It was going to come out that something was going to change in our family. It's their place to say, not mine. But essentially, it was like, right, if we can get Kai to wrestling, at least he's going to have something to take his mind off stuff as a 15, 16-year-old kid. Yeah. Which is where I met Danny Mayhem. Which is where I met people like what was it, Max Thompson? Is that Max Thompson now?
Pete, yeah.
Pete, yeah. He's still Pete to us.
Whatever he's going by these days. Yeah.
The Phantom or Two-Face, or
I think I called him Major the last time I was on commentary, just to take the piss out of him.
Yeah. Is that Major Rare behind that Two-Face?
It could be.
So that was it. It was my dad basically said to me, right, let's I think he kind of thought the English scene isn't really big for him. If he's going to do it, he's going to have to go to the US and do it. But he thought, you know what, why not? Let's just try and find somewhere local. Let's try and give him something.
And how many years ago was this then that your dad was kind of getting you?
This was as I just turned 16 when we finally got to training. Because it was obviously a lot of emails were sent back and forth, because they didn't really want to send me to somewhere that, like if they don't want to leave me alone in Milton Keynes, on my own kind of thing as a kid. So this was just after I turned 16.
I'm like 3 or 4 years ago?
I'm 20 in about 3.5 weeks, so this was just under 4 years ago.
Okay, so actually, what I guess your dad probably didn't realise, actually the UK scene was where it was at.
Well, that's it, yeah. I'm kind of blessed in the fact that I've started training in a perfect time. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff going down in the UK scene at the minute, and this is a great time to be part of professional wrestling.
So before we go any further, TTW, I need to hear about this.
This is Total Trampoline Wrestling. Funnily enough,
I want this to be on YouTube somewhere.
it may be an issue somewhere.
Figure 4 Radio.
See, Kai Payne, this is the thing. And talk about Kai Payne, and obviously with yourself, Kai, it's really funny. Whenever I talk about you to people, they're like, what, you used to commentate with little Kai? I'm like, no, other Kai. Like, Kai now lives in Gloucester.
Big fat Kai.
Everyone's forgotten about now that he's moved away, apparently.
Yeah. I see I've
it's always fun trying to kind of refresh people's memories.
I still exist, all right, damn it.
You know what has been an absolute revelation in Figure 4 recently?
Go for it.
Brands Warfare.
Brands Warfare
has been a revelation. So the wrestle quizzes were great from Exposure Wrestling, Exposure Entertainment, but they've the well's dried up recently. The events haven't been going on as often as we'd hoped.
No.
I had to go at a few. Scott had to go at a few, but I think Brands Warfare has been a revelation in the wrestling quiz genre.
Yeah,
as you will. What was the? How did you come up with this concept? Because it's not necessarily. It's all opinion-based stuff, right? So tell us how you came up with it.
I think I wanted, because you kept kicking my ass at these trivial-based podcast quizzes.
The facts.
Yeah, that I kind of wanted to produce something that was just, these are batshit crazy ideas and batshit crazy questions, that there was no wrong or right answer bar how the judge interpreted it. So I wanted to make questions which, there's the questions, you take it how you want, and I want to see what comes up in the idea. So some of the weird shit that you come up with.
We've had some crazy stuff, really. But yeah, what I wanted to do, should we recap the very first Brands Warfare? We literally recorded it exactly where we were sat right now recording this intro piece. And it kind of feels right that we end today's podcast on a bit of the Brands Warfare flashback.
Yeah, it's Axel Carter, who had 10 minutes preparation, and Lucky Bowden, who
barely had that. And then me, who had like 2-3 weeks to sit down and plan it.
A couple of months, yeah, I think.
Yeah. So I think we should go and revisit that as a special.
Here's one question.
Reminder.
Figure 4 Radio.
Right, round one then. We have lost so many great wrestlers over the years. But if you had every single wrestler throughout the history of time in their prime, how would you book WrestleMania?
Okay, shall I go first? Give you guys some time to go. So as I said, I put a bit of time into this, but I thought I was going up against other people that also put time into this. So I've got
He certainly loses the point.
Putting
so much time into it, you lose a point.
Okay, fine. So -1. So I've got a 9-match card.
What? A 9-match card?
9-match card.
WrestleMania?
Well, we've got like 13 this year. So so opening with an Intercontinental Championship ladder match. Ricky Steamboat, Randy Savage, Razor Ramon, Honky Tonk Man, Mr. Perfect, Owen Hart, and Bret Hart, all in there. All 4 Intercontinental Champions ladder match. And I put Honky Tonk Man winning it just because.
Just because Honky Tonk.
Heels, lol. Number 2, number 1 contenders match for whatever belt is number 1. CM Punk versus Daniel Bryan versus Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn, because I am a smarky internet bastard. Then a singles match, Kurt Angle versus Chris Benoit.
Any reason why?
Why not? Because
Because
every time they win a match, it was awesome. Women's Championship singles match, AJ Lee versus Alexa Bliss, purely for personal reasons.
Oh, okay.
No sound needed for that one. Yeah. Then an NXT Championship last man standing match, Shinsuke Nakamura versus Samoa Joe. That would be brutal as fuck.
But that's NXT though. So that's minus off.
That's going to come up later on though. I'm going to mention it again. I think because I've got a plan. I've booked this match in my head. It would be awesome.
Just because you've booked it in your head doesn't mean it's going to be true.
Then Tag Team Championship match, Freebird Rules, The Shield versus DX. Classic Shield versus Shawn, Triple H, and Chyna. You're making notes, guy. You're making notes of how awesome this is, right? Hours of my life.
Leave the point marking.
Hours of my life waiting for this. Streak match, Undertaker versus Sting.
Yes! 5 points straight there. Hint, lads.
I don't know what. Right, so you're a WCW guy. I don't know why I just didn't make this whole thing WCW.
Yeah, you would have got 100 points by now.
Then, because obviously after that you'll need a cool-down match, so Divas 10-woman tag match.
I need something.
I've got Moolah, Charlotte, Trish, Luna Vachon, and Karma on the heel side, and Mae Young, Sasha Banks, Lita, Sable, and Gail Kim on the face side. Right. And then headlined by Hulk Hogan versus Ric Flair for whatever the championship is.
Jesus Christ.
You've got to make one up, make up a championship.
The WWE Super Universal King Champion of America.
As you do, I'll give you points for that.
And it's a spinning belt as well. The whole thing.
The whole thing.
Spins. Yeah. Why not? We'll give you an extra point. Axel, go. How would you book your WrestleMania?
I'd probably open with maybe a Triple H and Randy Savage.
Nice.
Okay.
I think that would be
That's
quite
a good
interesting to
opener.
see. Yeah.
Get Triple H out there, get her back in the.
Yeah.
He likes to be in a WrestleMania.
Get him a payday, poor guy. He needs it.
Yeah. I've always really liked to see the Giant, like Paul White, versus Andre. You know, when they were both in their primes, because imagine
It'll be
Big Show
terrible
doing
because Andre
like.
I'm not a fan of, but Paul
No,
White.
okay, I lost some points there.
Because Andre was never WCW.
Yeah, pretty much. And he's French.
I think then I'd
one's
have
French
like.
here, right? Okay, good.
No. There is like a French guy that's here.
That's all right. You can't hear me.
No,
It's
okay. He can't understand you either. He's French.
Points on.
I'd have Edge and Christian versus the British Bulldogs. I think that'd be pretty cool.
I give you that.
For a Divas match, Celeste Bonin because she has fat tits.
Nice. All about the tits.
Versus China. I think that'd be quite like a cool match, just because they're like both strong women.
Sorry, make it a triple threat.
Axel, you're getting a point for that. If you put Yokozuna in that match, book it.
Yeah,
you want the point? There you go.
Yokozuna's in there as well.
It's also why Kai, you don't do wrestling shows. Yeah.
I then put
why I don't do quizzes.
Chris Jericho and Owen Hart in an I Quit match.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, see how that one goes, because both
be
brilliant
intense.
workers. I do love Owen Hart, so. Then, Chris Benoit versus
We have
Mr.
to bleep
Perfect.
that out when we do that, by the way. No.
The guy that killed his family versus Mr. Perfect.
Okay.
Sorry, guys.
Wow.
Well, actually, I don't know if he killed his family.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Yeah. Sorry if he didn't.
I read it on the internet.
Then I'd like to do Steve Austin versus Goldberg in like a last man standing
Why?
match. Why the fuck not?
Oh, come on,
Yeah.
Goldberg. Oh yeah, in his prime, still terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah. Steve Austin would kick his ass.
Yeah, that's what I'd like to see. See if
Goldberg getting his ass.
yeah, see if Steve Austin could bring him out of his shell a little bit.
Main event. Let's have a main event.
Hulk Hogan versus John Cena.
Hulk Hogan versus John Cena.
Like the
That'd be
faces.
Mr. America all the way.
Yeah.
Lucky Bellend, go.
Oh shit.
Sorry, for him being a good sport, he's instantly going to
Every
have
other
2 points.
question on you, I'm like, I could totally answer that. This takes a lot of planning. It takes a lot of planning.
Mitchell's WrestleMania is
That is very
cancelled.
true. Fact, it does. He
At
did it
least
2
3
nights.
hours.
How would you kick off your main event?
My main event.
Yes,
Oh,
the main event of the whole evening.
The whole evening, all I have.
We'll work about that way. Why not?
Great Khali.
No, I think I do Balor, Zayn, Owens.
Basically NXT
No,
in its
I
prime.
do the
Or
'cause they
indies.
were,
Did you
they
go
were.
down the
I-
indie route?
The indie route, because that's where they were the best. That's where they were better.
I'll give you that.
Yeah, I'd have that as a triple threat because I think that would be an insane match. The overall show, I don't know. I'd have Big Show a lot. I'd have Big Show a lot.
Big Show a lot. The man's got. You know what? The man's been the laziest wrestler in the past 12 months. So I think he should actually work with. Yeah, why not? Fuck it.
Over his accumulative career, he's been the biggest thing, and then in 12 months, 6-pack and everything.
Although, man, Jesus Christ,
It's
he
the
has worked
richest
hard on
thing
that one.
Ever. That'd be my WrestleMania, and that's it. Literally one match.
One match, WrestleMania. It lasts 5 hours, but fuck it, was a good match.
5-hour Iron Man match. Coming live from Japan.
I mean, if the points, I'm winning this.
Right, scores after that round. Ollie, you are in the lead with 25. That's
Fucking
because you've
hell.
had the most planning session of them all.
Yeah.
Mitchell, you've got 11. Well done for one match, just because the Big Show he needed to get his, whatever. And Axel Carter, you got 16.
Oh, nice.
How are you scoring these, by the way?
Ollie, you've got 24. Don't
Like
piss me
that.
off.
Just like that.
Just like that.
Figure 4 Radio.
See, that was hilarious, right? Even though Mitchell and Axel didn't have a clue, that was still a laugh,
Not
right?
a clue, and the Chris Benoit moment. Yeah.
So, Kai, where can people check out our archives that we've just delved in? Dove into?
Dove, dived,
Dove.
whatever you did.
Looked into?
Bought a Pringles pack. Other Pringles are available, but not Pringles.
Why?
I don't know. Shut up. Anyway, go onto our website to get any of our podcasts. Our podcast archives is on our website. It's figure4radio.weebly.com.
Or there's also the YouTube archives. YouTube.com/F4TV, right?
I know it's been a long time since we've done this together, but Jesus, mate.
What?
We're cocking this one.
Well, okay, let me tell you a story. Last night, I was commentating in Ipswich, and that is a 2-hour drive from my house.
Yeah.
I got back in at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
I then left. I went to bed. I had about 6 hours sleep, woke up, had a shower, had breakfast, jumped straight back in the car, drove another 3 hours to where we are today. I'm running on fumes right now, buddy.
Last night, put on the fire, had a bath, had some cup of teas, went to bed around about 11 o'clock.
See, 11 o'clock, the show was just finishing for me last night.
I was in bed, mate.
You bastard.
I was snoozing away.
So you had a nice little quiet, short drive over here this morning.
Yeah, it was lovely.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. It was lovely. Folks, if you don't already, give us a like on Facebook. It's facebook.com/figure4radio. Do you want to do the rest?
I'll do the rest, because you look like you're lagging a bit.
It's been a while.
Why not give us a follow on Instagram, on Twitter? It's just @Figure4Radio. Like I said, facebook.com/Figure4Radio. And really, if you want any more information, just go onto our website. It's figure4radio.weebly.com.
And of course, if you're a wrestling promoter or a wrestler and you want commentary either added to your product, either there on the day or kind of post-production, I guess is the way to call it, get in touch with myself, the Mastermind. Oh man, this is a rough one, isn't it? This is a rough podcast.
It's going to be a good show.
It is. You can catch me at the following shows. On November the 12th, the Wrestling League in Harwich. They've got a 40-man over-the-top rope rumble.
Wow.
It is going to be absolutely bonkers. The names they've booked just for the rumble, not even for matches, just for the rumble, is absolutely insane. Flash forward a week to that. The 19th of November is Sacrifice Pro Wrestling. That is Exit Through the Gift Shop. That is going to be the show that smashes Shattered Dreams out of the water, I think, if you ask me. Lots of stuff building up, and I think that's going to be the show where everything comes to a head. 25th of November, I am back at DOA in Cambridge. We're making our debut in Cambridge there. The day after, Kai, you are coming down to Milton Keynes,
where we're going to do the Christmas special of Brands Warfare.
It's going to be fun, and that's going to be released sometime over the December month. 2nd of December, DOA at the Lichfield Community Centre in Great Yarmouth. I've also got, let me have a little look, SOS, which is an offshoot of Wrestling League, is December 17th at Kingsway Hall in Harwich. We've got DOA again on the 23rd and Sacrifice on the 30th. Do go and give all of these promotions a like. We haven't actually got any exposure dates in the calendar at the moment. I don't think, he says as he quickly shuffles through his phone.
I'll tell you that now. No.
But when they come up, we will, of course, be telling you all about them. So do check out DOA Wrestling, Sacrifice Pro. Go check out the Wrestling League. Check out Exposure Wrestling Entertainment. Hope Wrestling as well. Good friends over there. Good wrestling over in Milton Keynes. Lots of good stuff happening. Check it out. Kai, it's been fun, right? Having a good reminisce.
It's been fun. Yeah,
it's been fun. We'll see you in a few weeks, I guess.
Toodles.
Figure 4 Radio.